Good evening. Right, before we even start this shift, somebody's asked me if I can do some footage about tachographs. So I'll try and go through it on this shift with you at various points during shift and show you what's what. The first thing is manual entries. Now, if you're a tramper and you're sleeping in your truck, right, you wake up in the morning, put your card in, it'll say brake till now, and you'll just say yeah, right. But you come on site, go get your keys, do whatever, you might do a bit of paperwork, you've got to do a manual entry to say you've been doing other work. So you've got to account for every minute on these things. Right, card in. It'll do it eventually. Last withdrawal, 3:50 yesterday morning. Manual entry, yes. Right, brake, and that's saying until now. That's the current time. So, you go, okay. Now I was on site at 1:15. So we wind that clock down to 45. So we was on brake till 17:45. Now it's going to ask you what you was doing from then to then. Change that symbol to cross hammers, other work. Just go, okay, okay, begin country, confirm entry, yes. That's done. It's done, it's dusted. Make sure you get it right, because once you confirm that entry, that's it, you cannot change it. If you fuck it up, well, you're going to get an infringement. When you're going through, if you want to wind it back, say you've gone too far, just press the back key and it'll go back. To change your modes, now that's saying I'm on brake. I'm not, I'm other work. So you press that key. POA, other work. It will not go to drive until the wheels start turning. When you stop at lights and stuff, after a few seconds, it should automatically revert to other work, then go back to drive when you start rolling again. This tachograph is slightly different to the others. This one, when I stop, like at Rochdale tonight, it'll automatically put itself on brake, which I have to put it on other work, because I've got to get out, do my curtains, which is classified as work. Then when I come back in to get my paperwork, take to office, then it'll go on brake. Technically, taking my paperwork to office is work, but basically I'm just chucking it in duck it as I'm walking past to go to the coffee machine, so I don't give a monkey's, I'm on my brake then. So right, that's your manual entry. We're on other work now. That's it. Don't touch it, and just make sure if you're doing something, it's on cross hammers. If you're on brake, it's the bed symbol, and drive, it will automatically go to that. That is not a problem. Right, you've got various modes. It won't do it now because it's still waiting to reset itself. I'll have to show you that one once it's been in a while. But I'll show you that once we get going. So, right, that's your manual entry out of the way. If it's your first day and you don't know what you're doing, if you're not sure, explain it to somebody. You've not done a manual entry before, can somebody show me? And somebody will show you a couple of times. Like I say, if you get an infringement for doing it wrong, you'll get a slap on the wrist. It'll not be any great deal, but don't make a habit of infringements. So, the only one you've got to worry about, really, well, two infringements you worry about, is driving without card, which sometimes it'll flash up at if somebody shunted it around the yard, which doesn't bother you because the tacho will show out it was done before your shift, but you never ever take that card out until the end of the shift. I don't care what anybody else tells you, or you can move it if it's on private land, blah de blah de blah. No. you leave that in till the end of the shift. And the other one is going over your driving time. Don't do it. Wherever possible, stop with at least 15 minutes to go. You'll know if you've got 15 minutes, because that'll start flashing like mad, giving you a warning that you've only 15 minutes left. And most trucks will give you a warning on the dashboard as well. So it's like an alarm thing, it's a safety zone. So generally speaking, I never get close to that, or very rarely get close to it. I have rolled in to DHL with literally 2 minutes on the clock, and I've got a photograph on my Facebook of a tacho at GXO where I had 1 minute on the clock. But you really don't want to be doing that. That's squeaky bum time, because you go 1 second over and DVSA will have you. Regardless, whether it's a second or an hour, you're over your time. That is that. Right, manual entry's done. That's it. Right, we'll crack on, go get my trailer, and I'll explain more when we get on the road. Right, we're all good to go. As you can see from that symbol, we're on other work. We've had a couple of minutes of drive time, shunting round depot. I'll show you the modes on this in a minute.
Turn right, then at end of the road, turn right, turn right.
Right, this is the mode it defaults to.
In a quarter of a mile.
All the zeros and a 3 is the time I've actually been driving. 15 minutes break I've already had. Ignore the number 2. Ignore that. That one tells you I've got 4 hours, 27 minutes left of drive time. After that, I need a 30-minute break. Now, the tacho rules on brakes, after 4.5 hours driving time, you must have had a total of 45 minutes break. That's what you need. Now, you can split that, but the rule is, very, very greasy the roads tonight. The rule is, if you want to split your brakes, your first one has to be at least 15 minutes and your second one has to be at least 30 minutes. And in total be 45 or more. You can't have a 30, then a 15. Many years ago, you'd be able to do 3 15s, but you can't now. So, if you want to split your brakes, if you've got like a long drive, you can stop, have a 15, when you get to the other end, put it on brake, have a 30. It's up to you how you do it. I mean, personally on this one, when I get to Rochdale, I'm going to be on brake for, what, at least 2 hours, generally. So I don't have to worry. Now, your drive time, obviously, 4.5, then brake. Another 4.5, then brake. Usually daily rest. Now, you can have another break, and twice a week you can have an extra hour's driving time. So you can have a 10-hour drive twice a week, but only twice a week. So, but before you have that extra hour, you must have had a break. So that's that. Now the other thing you have to watch for, and I fell foul of it in the early days, is your working time directive. Now that has no bearing on drive time or anything else. So once you had 6 hours working time, you must take a 30-minute break. Now if it's less than 6 hours, when you take a 15, so say you do 2 hours driving, then you take a 15-minute break. That resets your clock on your working time. Then you can have another 6 hours before you need a 30-minute break.
Enter the roundabout.
So,
Take the second
generally
exit.
speaking, you just have to be wary of that.
Onto Fisher Lane.
So, if you start at 6 o'clock in the morning, just think on, at some point before 12 noon, you must have had a 15-minute break. Otherwise, you're stuck for a 30. So, that's the way to look at it. I mean, I fell foul of it when I first started, and we was on self-tip when we got back to the yard, and I just carried on going, forgot my tacho was on other work, and before I knew it, the gaffer shouts, "Oh, you might as well get yourself away," pop my card out, comes in next evening, "Oh, you've got an infringement for working time." "What do you mean?" "You should have had a break at 5 o'clock. You was working till 20 past 5. Like, shit. So, basically, remember things like that where you're doing a self-tip. Remember what time you came off your last break. So, and then say to yourself, right, I'll need a break at such and such a time. So, the working time directive is the one that catches a lot of people out.
After 1,000 feet,
So,
enter the roundabout.
just be
Take the
mindful.
third exit onto A1.
It's like if I was on the local multi-drop on the Arctic, generally speaking,
Roundabout. Take the third exit.
you know, with your drive time and all of that, you was never anywhere near like 9 hours. Some days I'd get back and I'd have worked all day just doing trundling round local, and it was all loading and tipping time. I wouldn't have had 4.5 hours drive time, but you still got to get your breaks in. So on that, what I would do is I would stop for a cup of tea mid-morning, put it on a 15, and then as soon as I get my last delivery off, minimum half an hour. Sometimes you'd be waiting round for like an hour till they told you what your collections was, so it didn't really matter. But,
Take the third exit
you know,
onto A1.
if you get away with it, have a 15 halfway through your first stint, and you should be alright. Even on a 12-hour shift,
Keep left.
you have you do your first 3 hours, have a 15-minute break, do another 4 hours, you're up to 7 then, have your half hour, you've got 4.5 hours of your shift left, you're not going to need another break. So, basically, all the rules are laid out on Google. It sounds like a minefield, but once you get your head around it, it becomes second nature. You know. But, like I say, just be careful of that thing. See, now we've been going 10 minutes. Alright, let's flick it onto other modes. 10 minutes drive time, 15 minutes break ad. You know. I'll put it on that because that's telling me how long it's going to take to get to Rochdale. So, right. Tonight we are going to have some fun and games. It's 7 o'clock already. The road closures generally start 8:30, 9 o'clock. But tonight, in their infinite wisdom, the heating mirrors on, in their infinite wisdom, the same as last night, they're shutting the A1 at Wetherby at 8 o'clock, and it's going to divert us down the A64 in Leeds, probably onto Leeds Outer Ring Road, and then back on the M1 probably around Skelton Lake, which ain't too bad for me because I need to go down the M1 anyway. But for the other lads, they generally go straight down the A1. So the A1 meets the start of the M1. You've have seen it on previous videos. I go right, they go left, straight down the A1. Now they're going to miss that junction. So they're going to be running around the houses a bit. I mean, Michael made it into Leicester last night. By the time he got his trailer dropped, he had a minute left on his clock. So that's cutting it too fine. I've done that myself. It's not what you want to do, but that is cutting it too fine. So, but it is the nature of the beast. I mean, this diversion's quite a long one. I mean, for me, it adds maybe 10 minutes because I'm going back onto the M1. Whereas for the other lads, it's taking them onto the M1, then they've got to find a way to cut across to the A1. So it's costing them 15 minutes at the bare minimum, probably more like 20. And even without roadworks, it's 3 hours 45 to Leicester from Cramlington. So they are running it pretty damn fine. So it's the nature of the beast. One of the lads, Dave, he ran out of time. He had to stop on the way down. Fortunately, he'd had a 15 while he's waiting for the last pallet in the yard. So that's that. We got away with having a 30 on the way down. He still got into Leicester on time. I mean, he was away before me last night. So, but again, the later you get down there, you know, the queue's getting bigger and bigger in front of you, as you saw in Swaddling Coat. You know, so you want to be on time. So, now this tachograph, you get some people whinging about how strict the rules are. Now the rules aren't just there for public safety, they're there for your safety as well. So it's so companies cannot push you too hard. You know, if you didn't have that, you know, you'd end up like one of these multi-drop van drivers who never ever stop all day. You'll have seen them, they're going out with 200 drops on. 6 o'clock in the morning, they're still working at 8 o'clock at night. They come banging on your door on a Sunday with a parcel. You know, we're protected from that. You know, now, also look at your working time directive over a fixed period of weeks. Now, I'm not going to go into this one right now because it's just going to bamboozle you. It's just going to add more fuel to the fire. If you want to look into it, your maximum working time over a period of 17 weeks, then it's all on Google. Working time directive for HGV drivers. So there's opt-ins, opt-outs. Just have a look. So you'll get your head around it. It's basically just to say how many hours you can work. Now, regarding driving time, one thing I'll tell you. Let's say you don't use your 10-hour drives. I think I've only ever used it once, maybe twice. Now, that means if you're just working shifts where you never go beyond a 9 hours, you've no need to worry, because that will be a maximum of 45 hours a week. Now, your maximum permitted drive time is 90 hours in a fortnight. Here's where it gets confusing again. Now 90 hours in any fortnight.
Keep right.
So,
Towards the south.
as a maximum,
Keep right.
in a week, you can do 54 hours. So say you're on a 2-week period, right? Your first week, you can do 54 hours driving time. So you've worked 6 shifts. But the following week, you can't do any more than 36. You know, it must not go over 90 hours in a fortnight. And it's a constant rolling thing. So that's the way it works. Now, you can spin that.
Keep right. Onto a
So let's say
towards the south.
week 1 is as a bank holiday Monday. You come in Tuesday to Friday
Drive for 11
and
miles.
you get your 36 hours in because you've done 4 shifts. And the following week, hey, you can go do a Saturday overtime. Then revert back to your 45s, like, you know. Now, 45 hours that I'm mentioning, I can do 50 hours on this run. Like 50 hours working time I'm talking about. But my drive time rarely goes above 36. I might be sat around or doing my curtains or whatever. So there are times you're getting paid for sitting around. You're not just getting paid for driving. So just bear that in mind. Keep an eye on how many hours you do over a week. There is a display on there which will tell you what you've done.
Limit is 50 miles per hour.
I'll not go into it too much because, like I say, it just starts getting confusing. So I'm just giving you the basics now, what you need to know when you start. So, but if in doubt, always double check. You know, when you're new, people will help you because they don't want you getting infringements. They don't want to have the hassle of printing off letters, having you sign it, having to go through slapping your wrists or pretending to slap your wrist because they don't. They say don't be a naughty boy again and all that. So at some point, actually I'll do it when we get to Washington, I think. Yeah, because I've got to show you the overspeed as well, in case you don't know what that is. My tacho's constantly doing it. Fun and games with rain, innit? Gets even better with snow. 50 limit, 44, 43, 42. Honestly, they haven't a clue, have they? Haven't a Scooby-Doo, none of them. So, right, I'll crack on for a bit and then I'll show you a bit more soon. And hopefully I won't get held up too much by these clowns. Right, as you can see, we're now doing 58 mile an hour downhill. Now you got to remember the speed limit for trucks is not 56, it's 60. So as long as you don't go over 60, you are not breaking the law. And I'm waiting for that to go to overspeed, but it hasn't. So we'll have to wait while the next one on the A69. People are being utter dicks tonight and they're not letting me pull out. That's about the 3rd time I've been wanting to get round DPD and this tipper and people will just not let me out. I'm not going to be an arsehole and bully them, but honestly, they're just being absolute knobheads tonight. Don't know what it is. This tipper should have his bloody lights on and all. Hey, what do I know? Right, let's crack on and see what's what when we get to Weatherby. It's going to be all fun and games. Right, we'll get an overspeed down here at 58. That yellow symbol there, that's my retarder kicking in and holding it at this speed to prevent me hitting 60. I can adjust that, I can let it go to 59, 60, but I keep it so it holds it back to 58. At the moment, the tacho's behaving itself. By the time we come down to this gantry here, it'll start flashing. Watch it prove me wrong now. Not going to do it. Oh, it is. You get a yellow T flashing up, telling you you've got a tachograph warning. As you can see, it's flashing over speed. Press OK twice and it'll go off. Now, that will show up on your printout and on your download when you have your card downloaded. But it is only an infringement if you are doing 61 or more. I have that go off several times a night and I have never once been pulled up about it. So as long as you do not, you can hit 60, do not hit 61, because then it will be an infringement. So just bear that in mind. Some people say they haven't had an infringement for it. I think some employers turn a blind eye to it, but some employers will turn around and pull you for it. So there you go. So if it flashes over speed on there, as long as you've not done more than 61 mile an hour, you're alright. But even if it flashes 61 for just 1 second and then goes back to 58, that will record the maximum speed you was doing when you was overspeeding. So just bear that in mind. If it hits 61, you want to get that down to 56, and then it cancels that out, resets itself again. So, but you do get a bit of leeway before it goes to overspeed. So that's that one. Right, there are a couple of more things I've got to mention, but I'll mention that in a bit. I've got a phone call to make and I'm bloody starving. So I'll see you in a bit. Right, I'm back. Poor Michael, he's got a problem with his truck. Because his truck was kitted out for going to London. He's got, which he never does, he's a night driver. Well, that was the intention originally. It's kitted out with extra proximity sensors all over the place. It's got them down near side, pedestrian sensors down front and all this. And when he's on the phone, he's got this voice in background going constantly, pedestrian ahead, pedestrian ahead, pedestrian ahead. He's just constantly going. So he stopped once, phoned the fitter and says, what is it? He says, oh, just clean the sensors. So he found the sensors on the side, clean that. And I says, where's the one on the front? He says, I don't know. So he says it's not these two radar sensors here. So I says, well, the only place it can be is inside your grill then, which I assume it would be, because to pick up pedestrians it's going to be set low down, isn't it? So he's a fair way behind me, so he's pulling into Barton Park truck stop. So, but he doesn't know what he's looking for. So, there you go. So he's just going to have to wing it, but I mean, he's still about, 3 hours from Leicester. Can't be going on with that all night. Another 3 hours down and 4 hours back. It'll just drive you absolutely insane. Plus which, I would say, and I says to him, you know, that's a defect because it's a safety device. It should be working properly. I says, if it's not working properly, there's something wrong. So, plus it's also a distraction to the driver, like, you know, shouldn't be having it. So, but I know on some trucks, like, you've got your collision sensors on the front, your automatic cruise, your adaptive cruise sensors, which is what these are. You know, sometimes if you get loads of muck around, that can set them off, like, you know. On DHL trailers, they've got collision reversing sensors to stop you hitting stuff. In winter, when you get ice on them, that can slam the emergency brake on, like, so. Just stuff like that. So it's probably just a bit of muck on it. You just got to find where the sensor is and clean it. Anyway, back to the tacho. Right, if you do anything wrong, or you break any rules, whatever, if you go over your driving time, I've only ever done that once, and that was when I had a diversion which took me down a red route. I was going down to Midlands, and the drive was 4 hours 10 minutes anyway. The diversion took me on a red route, and obviously that's no stopping whatsoever. So when I got into where I was going, I was 2 or 3 minutes over my time. What you do with that is you press OK, and it'll ask you if you want a print. You press OK again, it'll say 24 hours. That's your last 24 hours. So that will go from now to midnight, just gone. That will show everything I've done. Get a printout on the back. You'll see all, name, whatever, fill it all out, driving licence number, whatever else you have to put on it, and put an explanation for whatever it is you've done. So say you left your card in overnight, which is easily done. A lot of people have done it. I've done it myself. Basically, you would drive as normal, but do a printout at the start of your shift and do a printout at the end of the shift. You want 2 of each. One for you, one in case your employer needs it. Yours stay with you in your possession for 28 days minimum. So anything you've done which is against the rules, 2 printouts, fill it all in it back with an explanation. That's for if you've gone over your time, or if you've messed up. If you've messed up with your manual entry and it sent you tacho wappy, that's what you would do. Drive as normal, but print out at the start of your shift, error made with manual entry. You'd write down stuff like your shift start time, your shift finish time. You know, your driving time record will pick that up anyway. So, but you just got to cover yourself with printouts. So start of your shift, or whenever you make the mistake, and end of your shift, 2 of each. And then keep them with you. 28 days. So that's just what you want to be doing, like, you know. So I'm trying to think of other stuff that you need to know that's not going to bamboozle you with stuff that you don't need to worry about and make things too confusing. If I think about it, I'll let you know. So, right, I've got Dave behind me, who left 10 minutes after me, and he's caught me up. This is the truck that I was using 2 weeks ago, and it is fast as hell. really is quick, is that one. So before we get to the diversion, I'm going to slow down a bit and let him pass me. So just fair's fair, he's got further to go than me, so I'm not going to hold him up. Right, I'll crack on and I'll see you in a bit. Well, here we are, coming up to the roadworks, junction 45A1. Now, this is going to be shorter than last night, because last night it took us off at junction 44. Oh, and joy of joys, we've beaten it. Ha ha, happy days. That's just saved me 20 minutes. Brilliant. Brilliant. Honestly, they're putting out these roadworks quicker and quicker. That was supposed to be shut at 8 o'clock. Now, if we had come off here, we would have been going around the houses. Last night took us off the junction before. We came all down running parallel that side, over a bridge, all down parallel this side, down this road that runs down here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in a minute. That's called Paradise Lane, by the way. Past Bramham Village. And then you come up to this junction here, which we thought it was going to be open, because this is junction 44. No, it was M1 junction 44 where you was coming back on. So then we had absolute hell on, because we'd go over that bridge there, down the A64, and it's a good few miles till you pick up the Leeds Outer Ring Road. That takes you all the way around and back up to pick up the A63, which is a fair way on here. So, you know, it was going round the houses. So that has just done me a massive favour. I don't think Michael's going to make it though. He's going to be, what, at least 20 minutes behind us now, I would guess. If not half an hour. It depends how long it's taking him to do them sensors. So, it is what it is. But me and Dave's just made it. Happy days. Dave's that one there, not the DPD, the Arctic in front. I let him go past because his truck's way faster than mine, especially on acceleration. So if we had been going round the ring road and was stopping at lights and that, let him go. Let him go. I mean, like I say, he's got a lot further to go than me. So anyway, happy days, happy days. Very pleased with that.
Prepare to keep right.
Coming home,
Towards Manchester.
I do have a diversion where instead of coming off the M62 coming up the M1, I've got to carry on A1 all the way to Ferry Bridge and then come straight up the A1 all the way, which, to be honest with you, it's not that bad. It's really not, because when you're coming up the M1 you've got like 5 junctions where it's down to 50-mile-an-hour limits, whereas you're on the A1 and the M62 you're at full chat all the way, so you're making up a bit of time there. And he was getting bloody close then, not paying a blind bit of notice. But hey, what do I know? So there you go. Hopefully, yeah, I have got a lot of 50 limits now down to the M62, but it's what it is. It's what it is. I'm not bothered. I'm going to be there well before 10 o'clock, so I'm happy. So I wasn't under any pressure anyway, but I can live with this.
After half a mile, keep right on turn
Right.
1 towards Manchester.
We're going to crack on to Rochdale. I just want to give a shout out to the lad who shared his story about what I said about
Towards Manchester.
diet being bad for your health, and he shared a story in comments on my last video, saying about what certain things had done to him. So don't take my word for it about diet and stuff like that and certain foods and drinks. Go have a read of what he says. You know, he's not the only one who's been affected by it, but hey, he's living proof. And what I'll say to you, lad, if you're watching this one as well, all the best for your training, mate. Have a good one.
Drive
So,
for 10 miles.
right. I hope my little comments about the tachograph and what have you have been helpful. If you've any questions, just leave a comment and I'll try and clear it up for you. So it is confusing for some people, and it is very easy to get caught out. So, like I say, all the information is there on Google. You know, just have a look at it. You know, learn what you can, and you should be alright. The majority of jobs, you have no real risk of breaching tachograph rules. So, there you go. If there's anything else you need to know, you know where the comment box is. Right, thanks for watching. It's going dark, and I've still got maybe 50 minutes to go. So, and I'm absolutely turkeying for a coffee now. So, right, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.